Hey, hey, today is another awesome day of mathing. Okay, so here is Spiral Review 5, and we are going to get right to it. So let's look at numbers 1 and 2, and this is something we've been reviewing this week and last week. So multiplying decimals, something we really need to know, multiplying rational numbers. So write these two problems down, go ahead and give them a shot, and pause the video and then come back to check. All right, let's see what we've got here. So we have 1 times 5. Remember, when you're multiplying decimal numbers, decimal values, you just multiply as usual, and you won't do anything with that decimal until these decimals until the very end. Your final product is where you place your decimal. And it's very important that you know where to place that decimal. Okay, so our first calculation is 1 times 5, which is 5. Our next calculation, check your work, is 9 times 5, which is 45. 5 goes down, 4 comes up. Okay, and then we have 2 times 5, which is 10, plus 4 is 14. Now, can we leave it like that? The answer to that is absolutely not. We have a decimal to place. So how do we do that? What we do is we count how many decimal places there are after both factors combined. So we have 1, 2, 3, 3 places. So what we do is we count backwards and we say 1, 2, 3. We have 3 places. So let's think about what makes sense here. Okay, this says we have 1 and 455 thousandths. Well, if you think about it, this factor has no whole number place value, and this is almost 3. So if we round this up, well, if we round to the nearest whole number, it would be 3 times 1. And actually, pardon me. Okay, that would be a lot more than our actual value, but not too much more. This is 1, almost 1.5. But what does 5/10 represent? If you remember, 5/10 represents 1/2. Well, 1/2 of 3 is 1.5. And wow, look at that. It's almost 1.5. How cool. I hope you were able to follow along with that conversation. I really do. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Okay, so again, we have 2 factors. But let's talk about 62. Does 62 have any decimal place value? You're right. No, it does not. It is a whole number. So let's find out what we do. Okay, so let's multiply as usual, forgetting about the decimal that's right here. Don't worry about that until the very end. Okay, so 2 times 9 is 18. 6 times 9 is 54, plus 1 is 55. Okay, if you got that part right, you're off to a great start. Okay, so now we're going to mark that 0. If you don't have that placeholder 0, you'll be in deep, dark trouble. We have 62 times 1. Okay, check that work. We're going to add these 2 partial products together. You'll notice I still have not placed my decimal anywhere. Okay, so 8 plus 0 is 8. That is 7, and there's 11. Now we cannot leave that alone. We have a decimal value here. So we have 1, 2 place values total in our factors. We can't count any here because this is not a decimal number. So we have 2 places we need to go. So we start at the end and go 1, 2. So our final answer is 11 and 78 hundredths. Now, isn't that wild? We went from 62 all the way down to 11. But if you think about it, anytime we multiply times part of a number, you're going to make it smaller because you're not even multiplying times 1. So let's think about that. 62 times 1 at the most is going to give you is 62. Well, if you're multiplying times a number that's less than 1, your answer or your product is going to be less than the number you started with. Make sense? All right. All right, let's see. It says shade the model below to represent 9/10 times 3/10. Now you might remember this. Once I get started, okay, first of all, you could do the standard algorithm, which means you could go ahead and multiply as usual. So let's do this out to the side. Let's go ahead and do that. We have 9/10 times 3/10. What we're doing here, and remember, we said this in another spiral review the other day, that this kind of in the middle of the line represents another way to show multiplication. So we're multiplying there. It's not on the bottom like here. Those are decimals. If it's on the line, that would be a decimal. If it's in the middle of the line, that's another way to write multiplication. Okay, so 9 times 3 is 27. We have 2 decimal places total, so we go back 1, 2. So our answer is 27 hundredths. Well, if you'll notice, this is a hundredths board. So we're going to see how we can show that 9/10 times 3/10 is 27 hundredths. Okay, so last year we talked a lot about how we can actually illustrate this. So we can either go across 9/10 or we can go down 9/10, whichever way you want to do, but you have to choose, like if you go across, then the other one is going to go down columns. Okay, so we're going to go, let's see, 1, I'm going to do this carefully, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay, so only one row is left. I'm going to change my highlighter color and I'm going to go this direction, columns 3/10. Ready? Hang on. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Ooh, that was ugly. Okay, I'm glad this fixes it for me. Okay, so what this does is it actually shows where these 2 columns, or where the columns and rows overlap, is actually going to be your answer to your multiplication. Isn't that crazy? This was so voodoo when I first saw it. I thought, no way, this is awesome. So we have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27. If we actually count how many hundredths are overlapped, it's actually true. It's 27 hundredths. How amazing is that? If you still have your journal from last year, you should have all those little pictures that we filled in with our highlighters or our colored pencils that illustrate how to shade the model to represent decimal multiplication. Okay, we have one more problem left. You can always pause the video, by the way, take a deep breath, refresh your memory, pull out that journal, and we'll go from there. Okay, let's read this very carefully. It says a candy store charges $3.20 per pound for chocolate peanuts. If Huey wants to purchase 2 3/10 pounds, so it's more than 2 pounds but less than 3 pounds, then how much will it cost? You could do this a number of different ways. There are several ways to do this. Now, I'm going to give you a challenge here. What I want you to do on this one is I'm actually going to give you the answer. What I want you to do is tell me how you found it. So your submission for this is going to be how you found. You're going to prove your answer. How did you find this? Okay, so I'm going to give you the answer in just a second, and you're going to have to prove how to get there, how you got there. Okay, so I'm going to tell you that the answer is $7.36. Now, how cool is that? I gave you the answer. What you're going to have to do is tell me how I got that answer, and not everybody will have the same exact way of solving it. So you tell me how you solved it by showing your work and submitting that. You can also write an explanation. As long as I can tell how you got $7.36, I will be really, really happy about that. Okay, thanks a bunch.